Is the world really ready for a smartphone that folds 3 times? Samsung thinks so. The company is working on a new tri-foldable phone, similar to what Huawei did with the Mate XT. And yes, it could launch later this year. But before you get too excited, there are already some early signs that this phone might not live up to everyone's expectations. Let's start with charging. A trusted insider has revealed that Samsung's tri-foldable only support 25-watt charging, and that's just the advertised speed. In real-world use, it might even be slower. That's disappointing, especially when you compare it to other flagship phones on the market. Take the Xiaomi 15 Ultra, for example. It supports 90-watt wired charging and 80-watt wireless charging, plus 10-watt reverse wireless charging. That's more than triple what Samsung is offering on its new foldable. Other Chinese brands are pushing ahead fast, and some are even getting ready to launch phones with 8,000 mAh batteries. Meanwhile, Samsung is still playing it safe. That's exactly what's frustrating many tech fans. Year after year, they keep asking why Samsung doesn't use newer battery technology or faster charging methods. But there might be a reason for this. Samsung has a massive share of the smartphone market. They don't always rush to add new features. Instead, they take their time to make sure everything works safely and smoothly. Let's not forget the Galaxy Note 7 incident. That phone had battery problems so serious it had to be recalled. Ever since then, Samsung has been extra careful when it comes to battery and charging technology, and that's probably why they're sticking with slower charging speeds for now. Now let's talk cameras. It looks like Samsung might skip under-display cameras for the tri-foldable. These hidden cameras make the display look more uniform, but they're usually not as good as regular cameras. Samsung seems to be thinking that camera quality is more important, at least for now, but this could still change. Some sources say Samsung is still deciding whether to go with under-display or traditional punch-hole cameras, and it really comes down to what users care about more, looks, or photo quality. Still, the biggest issue with foldable phones isn't the camera, it's the crease. And this tri-foldable phone will have not one, but 2 creases. Reports say they'll be just like the ones on the Galaxy Z Fold 6. That's not terrible, but it's not invisible either. Interestingly, the Galaxy Z Fold 7 is expected to have a crease that's less visible, which could make a difference for people on the fence. Meanwhile, Apple is watching all of this from the sidelines. The company hasn't launched a foldable yet, but they're working on one, and they're waiting until it's perfect. According to some reports, Apple wants a crease-free foldable iPhone and might release it in 2027, just in time for the 20th anniversary of the original iPhone. That kind of patience might actually pay off. Foldable phones still haven't sold as well as expected, and even Samsung has lowered its sales expectations. As for the tri-foldable, Samsung is planning a very limited launch. The phone could cost over $2,000 and won't be available everywhere. South Korea will be the first to get it, followed by a few other large markets, but don't expect a full global release. Why did Apple suddenly boost iPhone production by 4 million units? It might sound like a surprise move, but once you see what's going on behind the scenes, it all starts to make sense, and Samsung might just be the biggest winner here. Apple has quietly changed its plans for the second quarter of 2025. According to a new report from Morgan Stanley, Apple is now planning to make 45 million iPhones this quarter instead of the earlier 41 million. That's a 15% jump. iPad production is also going up from 11.5 million to 13 million units, which is about a 24% increase compared to the same time last year. So what's driving this sudden increase? A big part of it has to do with tariffs. The ongoing trade tension between the US and China continues to create uncertainty, especially as the Trump administration signals that tariff policies might change again. Right now, some tech products like phones are temporarily excluded from US tariffs, but that could change fast. Apple doesn't want to be caught off guard, so it's acting now, before any cost hikes kick in. By increasing production early, Apple can build up inventory and avoid rushing if tariffs hit harder later. It's a smart way to stay ahead of the game and make sure shelves stay stocked even as supply chains get messy. But that's not all. Apple is also making big moves to spread out its manufacturing. Right now, a lot of its devices are made in China and Vietnam, but those countries could face tariff hikes of up to 145% and 46% respectively. That's a massive risk for a company like Apple. To manage that, they're increasing production in India and even starting to make some iPhones in Brazil, especially the new iPhone 16e. What's really interesting here is how Samsung and other South Korean companies benefit from all this. Apple might be making the devices, but it doesn't make everything in-house. It relies heavily on suppliers for key components. Samsung Display, LG Display, and LG Innotek are major players in Apple's supply chain. They supply things like OLED screens and camera modules. In fact, more than 80% of LG Innotek's income last year came from Apple orders. Samsung Display is also deeply connected to Apple, with around 40% of its revenue tied to them. So when Apple boosts production by millions of units, it doesn't just help Apple. It gives a major boost to these South Korean companies too. That's why Samsung, even as a rival smartphone maker, stands to benefit in a big way from Apple's latest production shift. One important detail: these extra devices aren't brand new models. They're current generation iPhones and iPads that are already on the market. Apple is simply making more of what's already out there to avoid last-minute problems later on. It's also a way to make the transition into the launch of the iPhone 17 smoother. That launch is expected later this year, and by front-loading the production of existing devices now, Apple can focus more on its next big release when the time comes. In the end, this is all about smart planning. Apple doesn't want to wait around for policies to change. It's choosing to act now so it can stay in control. Whether or not tariffs go up, the company will have a strong inventory ready, and its supply chain will be more flexible and spread out than ever. And with Samsung and other South Korean suppliers playing a bigger role in all of this, the impact reaches far beyond Apple alone. If you found this interesting, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more updates like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Curious about what's coming next after One UI 7? While the rollout for One UI 7 isn't completely finished yet, Samsung has already moved on to developing the next update, One UI 8. Even though it's still early, we're starting to see some exciting hints about what's in store for users in the near future. So, what should you expect from One UI 8? Well, it's not going to be another massive redesign like One UI 7. Typically, Samsung doesn't follow up a big design overhaul with another one right away, but that doesn't mean One UI 8 doesn't have its share of improvements. Instead of focusing on radical changes, One UI 8 seems to be all about fine-tuning and adding useful features to enhance the user experience. One of the notable additions is a feature called Now Brief. This was first introduced on a few newer devices but will soon be available on many more models, extending beyond just the Galaxy S25 series. This is definitely a welcome feature for those who want quick access to important information, and it'll be exciting to see it on more devices. For those who love mobile videography, there's great news in One UI 8. One of the standout upgrades is the addition of log video recording on more phones, including the Galaxy Z Flip 6. This feature will give users more control over their video editing process, allowing them to adjust color grading and other aspects of their footage before it's even edited. Samsung is also making file sharing smoother. With One UI 8, Quick Share will get a more straightforward interface, clearly separating send and receive options. It might sound like a small change, but it will make a big difference when it comes to transferring files between devices, making the process much more user-friendly. In terms of design, One UI 8 will introduce some subtle changes to the Quick panel. The toggles will get a new look with extra shading that makes them appear more layered and polished. It's not a complete redesign, but it will bring a refreshed look to an often used feature. Another change users will notice is in how menus look in apps like Gallery. Instead of flat menus, One UI 8 will use a circular design around the menu options, making them easier to see and tap on. This is a small update, but it's one of those little tweaks that can make a big difference in how you interact with your phone on a daily basis. While these are some of the key features we've seen so far, there's still a lot more to look forward to. Since the update is still in development, Samsung could add even more features before the official release. Some rumors suggest that there could be improvements in multitasking, new options for the lock screen widgets, and better control in Samsung DeX mode. There's also talk of minor updates to the Galaxy AI features, but nothing's been confirmed yet. Even though One UI 8 isn't likely to be as revolutionary as One UI 7, it's not a bad thing. One UI 7 brought a lot of major changes, and now One UI 8 is shaping up to be more of a refinement, with small but impactful updates that will make the overall experience smoother and more polished. It's all about making the system better without changing things too drastically. The clock is ticking though. Samsung typically reveals its new foldable phones at the Unpacked event in the summer, and One UI 8 is expected to launch alongside the Galaxy Z Fold 7 and Galaxy Z Flip 7. This means we won't have to wait too long for the final version of the update, and any significant changes will need to be finalized soon. If you want to stay up to date with all the latest news in mobile tech and software, be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel.